This week's Four Questions Journalist Spotlight is brought to you by Leff's Atlanta Media, Atlanta's best journalist database. Subscribe at leffsatlantamedia.com.
Welcome to another edition of our Four Questions Journalist Spotlight. We've got a great group today. We're talking to the team from Axios Atlanta. So in order of when they joined this morning, I'm going to introduce. So we've got Crystal Dixon, Emma Hurt, and Thomas Wheatley. And what I'd like to do, I want to get into what Axios is, but I want everybody to kind of introduce themselves a little first. So Crystal, I'll let you start.
Sure. I'm Crystal Dixon. I am one of the three reporters who work for Axios Atlanta. Before that, I was with the AJC for 2.5 years, where I covered Cobb County general assignment things, as well as helping out with some county government stuff. But about 6 months before I moved on with Axios, I became a full-time education reporter where I covered Cobb and DeKalb County schools. So I did that for about 6 months officially. But when I first started the AJC, I did cover some Cobb County school stuff. So yes, so I guess I've been covering schools since I've been at the AJC and general assignment and Cobb County stuff. So
okay, Emma.
Hi, honored to be a part of the Axios Atlanta team. Before this, I was at WABE for 3 years, started as general assignment, and then they needed help covering politics the summer of 2018, and it went from there. Before that, I worked at the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. I covered the trucking industry. That was my first job, and I did a lot of freelancing before and after.
Okay. And then Thomas, who's muting us so we don't hear his new washing machine. So I had to throw that in there.
If it gets bad, just let me know.
All right.
My name's Thomas Wheatley. I'm an Atlanta native. Before coming to Axios, I was at Atlanta Magazine. Before that, I was at Creative Loafing. The real joy that I have, or what's been a big joy, is that I've at all of those places I've had the privilege and the good fortune to be able to cover my hometown city and to really write about pretty much anything I wanted to write about and anything that interested me. So it hasn't always really been a job. It's just been like a great way to live and learn about my city. That's kind of how I view it.
But isn't that the best kind of job? A job that doesn't feel like a job?
Yeah, it is. I mean, like there are definitely days when it feels like a job, but no, it's so much fun because you never have the same day ever, and you get paid to be curious, you get paid to learn things. It's just beautiful.
All right. So in terms of Axios, are your titles all kind of the same, or is one of the three of you in charge?
No,
All the
we're
same?
all the same level.
Okay. All right. So
3 legs of a stool.
okay, cool. All right. So I'll just throw this out there. Whoever wants to tell me, what is Axios? All right, Emma, you get to go then.
Okay. Axios was founded by some of the co-founders of Politico 5 years ago with the premise that people don't read to the bottom of news articles and magazine articles anymore. And the format of those articles hadn't changed in, 200 years. And they wanted to try to do something new, something that was geared towards mobile, which is where most people are consuming their news. And so they came up with this smart brevity format, which is what we call, how you see our articles appear. Lots of bullet points, headlines, short sentences, and really condensed reporting. So it's all about cutting out the BS, cutting out what you don't need to know, cutting out, a quote from a spokesperson if it doesn't say anything. And
which is most
really,
of the time, right?
It's a lot of the time, but trying to save our readers' time. Is the main goal, but not dumb things down, but save time.
Okay. Thomas, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, Emma explained it very, very well. I mean, the only thing I would say is just like we don't cover everything, but we cover the important things, and we cover the things that you might not expect us to cover. It's a great way to learn about your city, the region, the state, and to explore it.
So, Crystal, how would you define, as Thomas said, the things that you don't expect us to cover?
Well, Axios is a news organization, but, we do try to, a lot of media outlets may not have the time or the resources to really get out there and cover some quirky things. Like, for example, we try to do regular screen times with, newsmakers or, people who are, I guess, making waves around Metro Atlanta. And one that ran this morning in our newsletter was Peaky Cole, the founder of Slutty Vegan. So it's like little things like that that really puts a different twist on a profile of a person. I say it sort of gets to the nuts and bolts of who a person is and what can you, I guess, learn more about them in our smart brevity format. So.
And it also speaks to the fact that people don't necessarily want to read just, a 1,000 words of hard news in the morning. It's kind of a lot sometimes, and it can be overwhelming. And part of the vision of Axios is that you should come away feeling not feeling depressed and bogged down. Not to say we're hiding anything, but just we're speaking clearly, and we're also bringing in a bit of humor and bringing in stories like that to mix in with some of the harder news that maybe isn't as fun.
Yeah, I've noticed that you guys do tend to kind of mix in a little bit of a fun thing at the end, usually, and a little bit of personal. I think today you were asking about what end of the year holiday, I think was the question you were asking some of your readers today, I think.
Their favorite moment.
Memory.
Favorite moments.
Memory. Okay.
Yeah.
Memory. Yeah.
And it's also one of the things I really love about it is that we respect your time. We want to. We don't want to put a lot of, like Emma and Crystal said, like a lot of fluff in there. We just want to kind of tell you what we think you might need to know today, and then we're gone. So
do the short snippets, they link to larger stories sometimes, or
yes.
Pretty much, yeah, sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes in our newsletter, we'll sort of summarize the story that we have. And if it's a longer story, it would link. We'll have a link to say, read more here, and we'll take you to the full story on the website.
Okay. But that's not, but some of them do that and some of them don't, right?
Yes. Yeah, it just depends on, some of the longer stories will have that. So. Yeah.
Okay. So do the three of you have different kind of focus areas, one type of news or one type of area that you're writing about?
Well, Emma's been covering a lot of state issues, like she's been covering the governor campaign, a lot of stuff that's happening in DC, and you can just look back over the past couple of weeks and you can see stories that she's been breaking and scoops she's been getting about people, David Perdue getting in the race, all of these, that's really where she's been doing a lot of work on that front. I've been doing a lot on city politics, also transportation, some issues that are happening up in different neighborhoods. I've been doing kind of a surprising amount of reporting on how the city is revisiting its past in terms of convict leasing, which has been a very interesting subject to cover. Crystal's been doing a lot of education reporting, also a lot of housing reporting. So we don't have set beats, but we all kind of know the different areas where we're working and where we're strongest. And so we just kind of stick to those, but it's very much a collaborative process. There'll be stories that come up and it's just should I take this? Should you take this? It's not hard and fast.
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of the question is if someone has a story idea, I guess, because sometimes I'll send, if I think it's, okay, this is an Emma story or this is a Thomas story, I might send it to one of you, but sometimes I'll send it to all three of you just because I'm not quite sure where it goes. But I don't necessarily want to, inundate all three of you with things if it should go to one person or other.
No, I think you should send it to all three of us, because one of us may be out or two of us may be out. So I think you're not inundating us at all.
And I think also that's part of the beauty of it a bit is what I like about it is we have the freedom to sort of gravitate towards different coverage areas, but like if I have a story that's not politics related, I can do it. And sometimes if you're confined to a beat, you can face resistance in a news organization from straying from that beat. And so this is very empowering in that way.
Right. And you guys are 5 days a week, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So no weekends yet?
We stick to the federal holiday schedule.
Okay, that's fair. Very good. Okay, so what is, and I guess I would like to ask this question: what is Axios not? If someone says, "I think I might have a story," sometimes it's helpful to say, Axios is this, but not this. Thomas is smiling.
No, I mean it's not a. It's very unlikely that we're going to do like a standalone business profile on just, this business that is opening is, this is their story, when there's nothing really setting it apart. It's not we're here to provide context and to provide understanding and meaning. So we're not just going to kind of just write about anything, if there might be a situation where it makes sense to, if somebody's working on something, then maybe like doing a screen time with them, but that would be more focused on learning about them more than learning about some arrangement or some partnership or some collaboration that they're doing.
Right.
It's just what I always have to kind of say to myself is, the person should ask themselves, is this news? Is this going to be like relevant to more than just?
Does it matter?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Why?
I mean,
like, people articulate why. Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Which hopefully PR people will ask that "does this matter" question more often than not. Anyway, sometimes some of them don't.
we love a why it matters in a PR pitch.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing, I would sort of struggle to answer this a little bit of a way, Mitch, because the format is so flexible that we can really do a lot. I mean, stories that maybe we are not ourselves covering and diving into, we can include in the newsletter. If someone else has a great story on it, then we just link to it. You know what? That's great. Sometimes it's just like the blurb at the top. So the newsletter can flex. And I think when I interviewed, they told me try to break the format, come up with a new idea try, we love that. So it's very flexible.
And I think that's good. So, I like that break the format, because it kind of shows that you're not going to be set into the same format that you're going to use forever, right? What's the relationship with kind of Axios National? Does content go back and forth?
Yeah. Crystal, you should talk about your scoop as an example, maybe.
Sure. Yes. So I did a story a few weeks ago about, I guess maybe 200 newspapers around the country, filing lawsuits against Google and Facebook about, digital advertising practices. I'm sure you.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yep. Yes. So I was able to work with the national team to sort of help provide a national perspective about what's happening. The reporter I worked with, she was able to, also reach out to some people in other parts of the country who I may not have had, the resources to do so. And she was also able to sort of provide some context about what was happening and the backstory as to why this was happening about that topic. And so the national team may have a bit more ability to sort of provide a broader perspective on the story that we want to do. And they also like to, work with us, for example, when it comes to politics. They're also very interested in some of the stories that we're doing on the political team, because Georgia has become a political hotspot, especially for this year as well as next year.
Right.
Yeah, so it can work both ways. Sorry, Mitch, but Crystal spotted this lawsuit and she brought it to the attention of the national folks, and they were like, "This is huge. Let's work on this together." Or it can go the opposite way, where they come down to us and say, "Hey, do you guys know about this thing? yesterday that happened. She was like, "Do you know about this Rivian announcement?" And I was like, "Hi, I'm at the announcement."
Yeah.
So, and then I was able to, get some of the national reporters to read my draft and add any context. So that the access that we have to the national reporting teams is really easy. I mean, they're just a Slack away. It's encouraged. And for me on politics, I've already been able to collaborate with other reporters on stories if I don't have quite enough sourcing, or I'm trying to get another angle that maybe I'm not as well sourced in. It's really empowering too, because you also your stories can get a national platform as well.
Yeah, and the politics, needless to say, we got some crazy stuff going on in politics over the next year. So there can be no shortage of, wow, I didn't think he was going to do that kinds of moments for us.
Shortage. Shocking. Georgia is still one of the most interesting states in 2022.
Right.
So
I just trying to explain that to one of my clients a couple months ago. It's like, okay, here's what's going on in Georgia this week. You get this and this and this. And she's like, oh, okay, alrighty then. That explains a lot.
Just another day.
Just another, yeah. Well, I know that's the thing. It's like we always say. It's like I always check the news before I pick up the phone or pitch a story, because you never know what's going on around here. So, are there any particular stories of politics, obviously, but anything in particular that you're going to be looking at in the new year, kind of issues that you really want to be focusing or following?
I would, definitely Mayor-elect Andre Dickens' first term in office, where he might be sworn in, by the time this airs.
Yeah.
The first year in office. Housing affordability, I think, is going to be a really fascinating story to watch next year, especially depending on how the pandemic goes, and seeing, how we're returning to work, how we're not returning to work, what happens to downtown. Climate change is to me a very fascinating story. It's one of those long stories, but you can see it play out every day. That's something I'm definitely going to be watching. I don't know. What about Crystal, Emma? What about y'all?
Obviously, Buckhead City is going to be on the agenda. I'm really interested to see if that's going to pass the legislature to allow voters to vote on that referendum in the fall. And I'm also I'm curious to see how this push that I'm seeing in other states. I'm interested to see how the push to sort of, for the state to sort of start looking at books in libraries and school systems. So to see they're going to try to make any sort of, law sort of maybe, I don't want to say crack down, but maybe sort of address what some people may consider what's obscene and when it comes to books that students have access to in school libraries. So I'm really interested to see if that is going to become an issue in 2022. So.
Yeah, that continues to be an issue, doesn't it? That whole perception of, is To Kill a Mockingbird something that a high school kid should read or not, right?
Right.
Yeah. There's so many threads in the politics sphere, but the big one that I'm interested in is how the Republican Party navigates being split up by President Trump. There could very well be a ticket of Republican nominees who are both sort of Trump supported and Trump hated, which is really interesting. And then I'm also, the Carolyn Bordeaux and Lucy McBath primary is already kind of getting tough. So, it's one of the few incumbent districts in the country. So it's got national relevance too.
Well, yeah, the redistricting has thrown a lot of things for a loop. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that all shakes out. Mm-hmm. And absolutely the Purdue Trump Kemp triangle. The lovers triangle is it's
like
crazy.
Purdue, Trump, Kemp, Raffensperger, Jody Heiss, Chris Carr, Herschel Walker. I don't know what geometric shape we're in at this point, but
the octagon.
Yes, there you go. It's the
Or octagon.
it's the
There we go.
yeah. Okay, well, yes, absolutely. So lots of interesting things. So all right, so let's go. Let's jump to the more challenging questions, which are, what's the coolest thing about each of you that people don't know? So I'm going to start with Thomas. He's like, oh, thanks a lot.
Like my little the little factoid is that I was a child actor. That's what I kind of like throw out at people.
Were you in the Little Rascals?
I was. Yeah, I used to beat up Mickey Rooney.
Okay.
I really love, I know this sounds so strange, but I love paddling. It was something that I didn't really get into until during the pandemic, but I find a lot of peace in it. And I really, really enjoy that. I don't know if that makes me cool though.
Kayak, canoe, you have a preference?
Yeah, both.
Both?
For
Okay.
camping, I like a canoe because you can haul more.
Yeah.
But kayaks are fun. Kayaks are kind of like, they're kind of like human powered jet skis in a way.
Depending on where you're going, yeah. Yes.
They're very maneuverable and they're fun. They're fun and they're colorful. So
right.
That's the thing about me.
Okay. Crystal.
I don't really have anything I would say is cool, but obviously a lot of people who follow me on Twitter may know, but I have started a houseplant collection. I probably have more than 30 houseplants now, and I have a 1-bedroom apartment, so things are getting a little tight here. So yeah, I have mostly tropicals and maybe a few succulents, but yeah, I'm really partial to calatheas right now, so though they can be a bit tough to take care of and keep maintained, but they're just really fascinating plants. So
Crystal's got the freshest air of any of us.
yes, I do.
Yes, there you go.
A lot of oxygen over here.
There you go. All right, Emma.
I spent the last, I guess, year and a half renovating a fixer-upper here in Candler Park, and that included all the painting inside, but a specialty that I developed that like really brought out some OCD tendencies of mine that I didn't know that I had was windows, like stripping the old windows and then repainting them. So I know I have a lot of painting and stripping tools and have been exposed to some really intense chemicals probably, but so I am not at all an pro DIYer, but I aspire to be. I'm currently fixing enamel on my bathtub also. So
very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, go ahead, Thomas.
Emma, if you need a good, like a person who's into glazing tubs, I got them for you.
Oh
and
if this fails, I'm gonna need.
Yeah, no, he's super cool. And also, when doing the windows, did you mess at all with the weights? Like, have you done that?
No, I left it all intact. Yeah,
that's my next thing.
My contractor pulled some trim, and I saw the weights in there, and I was like,
yeah,
you can mess up your windows if you mess with that. All right, okay, so this next section. So I give you a choice: the last book you've read or the last podcast you've listened to. Thomas, you start.
Last podcast was No Compromise, hosted by Lisa Hagen and Chris Haxel. Lisa, works with WABE here, and it was just a really, really solid look at the gun rights movement and the organizations that are farther right than the NRA. It was excellent. It was like one of those ones where I was like, I want to listen to all of this right now.
All right.
Pulitzer Prize winning.
Pulitzer, yes, exactly. Yeah, Pulitzer.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yes.
All right, Crystal. How about you, Crystal?
Last book I read was one called His Only Wife. It was a debut novel by, I believe I'm pronouncing her name right, Peace Medi. I think it's basically about a woman she lives in Ghana where she marries a man who his family believes that he's having an affair with another woman, and they believe that this young woman marrying him would sort of make him more, into monogamy and make him, I guess, more devoted to his wife. But it doesn't work out. And the woman pretty much ends up divorcing him and finding her own way. And she pretty much ends up owning her own business, and she becomes, I guess, a seamstress, and she owns her own business in Ghana. So it's a really good debut novel. I really recommend it.
And Emma.
The last book I read, I put it in the newsletter, but it is still true. The Temple Bombing by Melissa Fake Green, about the temple bombing in 1958, which was really, really detailed. I mean, she took us back to the Leo Frank lynching, actually, to tell the whole story of the Jewish community in Atlanta. And it was really, I learned a lot. But I'm looking for new Georgia and Atlanta history books. I've gotten a lot of suggestions from readers, but we'll take many more.
Have you read Doug Bachman's book, Slavery by Another Name? It's a little bit depressing, but it's a really great book.
No, I haven't.
Oh, I got to read that.
I'm reading it. Okay.
Slavery by Another Name. It's probably, 10 or 15 years old now?
Definitely.
It's been out for a while.
Yeah, it's been out for a while. He did a PBS documentary.
There's a PBS doc.
Yeah. It's incredible. That goes back to the whole issue with the Chattahoochee Brick Company that's been coming around lately.
Yes.
It's a really good one. Okay, so I'm going to do these next couple. Let's do a couple. I'm going to have Thomas go through the answers to his next couple together. So, favorite local restaurant. All right, we'll call this the lightning round. Okay, so favorite local restaurant.
Aviva by Camille.
All right. Favorite guilty pleasure.
Before the pandemic, I loved going to get a shoe shine. It was so relaxing for me.
Okay. Favorite local getaway.
Local. I mean, can I stretch it up to say North Georgia?
Sure, absolutely.
North Georgia hiking, whatever up there. Or yeah.
Okay. And favorite non-work hobby.
Bicycling.
Okay. I'm going to come back to you. All right. So, Crystal, favorite local restaurant?
Food Terminal.
Ooh, good choice. Favorite guilty pleasure?
I actually, maybe once a month or so, this is not really a guilty pleasure, I guess, but I used to treat myself to a McDonald's Egg McMuffin every morning. That is just so basic, but it's just it just takes a load off where I don't have to worry about breakfast. So,
okay. How about local getaway?
I would say, I guess, maybe the Panama City Beach area.
All right. And favorite non-work hobby?
I like to run.
All right.
So.
All right, Emma, I'm going to mix these up for you. So, local getaway.
Lake Raven Hotel.
All right. Favorite non-work hobby.
Pickleball.
Ooh, okay. Favorite guilty pleasure.
Dolce Vita's vegan chocolate gelato. I guess it's the sorbet because there's no milk.
And
specific.
And your favorite local restaurant.
Amano, which also happens to serve that gelato, which is not a coincidence.
All right, cool. That's the lightning round. Okay, so is there anything about Axios that we haven't talked about that we should mention? And I'll put in an
Sorry, I actually have a more recent guilty pleasure that I
okay. All right.
Okay, so Einstein's Bagel has this 6 cheese bagel that I just absolutely love. And if you just get it with some cream cheese, it is the most savory, decadent kind of bagel you can ever have.
6 cheese bagel. Okay.
Yes. It's perfect with Einstein's vanilla hazelnut coffee. I think they have is so delicious. So
all right.
I have to do a correction also. I said Dolce Vita. It's just I don't even know why I said that. It's Boga. Can I redo my answer? Can you edit that?
Yeah, please edit mine.
I'm not going to edit that.
I'm sorry to
you
Boga.
can, but I will include your correction.
I don't know why I said Dolce Vita. It's Boga's dark chocolate gelato. Okay.
All right. What Dolce Vita? Wait, that's something.
I don't even
else.
know. I think that's a restaurant in Houston where I went to college.
So something like that. So I
do actually have an answer to your question about what we haven't mentioned.
Oh, great. Okay.
I know that our format is short, and that's the point. But we do have the ability to do longer things. Other local newsletters have done them, like blown out investigative pieces. So that's something that we're all working on, some of us actively, on ideas that will be coming in the future. So
Okay.
don't be surprised.
Yeah. So I guess the kind of the message here is, there's the format, but don't worry about the format. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can break it.
We can break the format. Maybe that'll be
the great thing about it is that there's so much flexibility, and it feels like we have so many tools at our disposal, and everywhere from the support from national, the visual team that's able to, put together really great graphics from each other. We can play around with the space that we use. It's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun.
That's good. There's a lot to be said for that, right? Feeling like you're enjoying it and not feeling like, oh, gotta go to work today. And the commute's not too bad, right? For any of you guys?
I gotta walk through 2 rooms. It's terrible.
Emma's got to contend with, fumes and things.
Fumes and pups.
Yeah, although your dogs have been very well behaved, I will say.
Yeah, they have.
And none of Crystal's plants have attacked her while we've been talking, so all good. I may put in a little Shop of Horrors music in the background here. That's what I'm going to do. Very good. Well,
right.
Thank you all for taking a couple of minutes today. I appreciate it, and I'll let you know. I'll give you a shout out when the link is ready to go. And this has been another episode of our 4 Questions Journalist Spotlight.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you so much.